How's it going, everybody? Today's project is this Murray 22-inch push mower. I got this one for free. Actually, I know I took it in on a trade on a different mower. Didn't give much. I think I gave $10 on the trade-in. And he says it runs. He was honest about the deck. It's all rotted here. There's a big hole in the side of the deck. So that deck is definitely not going to be salvageable. The wheels, I don't know, they look a little rickety. All four of them there. But he says it runs, so let's see if it runs. And if it does, we can maybe use this guy as a donor engine for a different deck. Okay, so I'm going to go through my usual process. I'm going to try and do a function test first. There is some oil, but you probably won't be able to see that, but probably it's very little oil. So if it runs, I'm not going to leave it running for very long. See if we got any fuel. Yep, some fuel, but who knows how low that is. So spark plug's in and attached. I'm going to give it a couple shots of prime here. See if we can get it to puff. Okay, well, it did run, like the guy said. It kind of used the primer fuel and then died off, so it's definitely got a dirty carburetor. So I think we're going to kind of tear this one down and salvage whatever parts we can, and we'll scrap the deck and we'll go from there. I'll show you how I do a tear down on one of these things. Alright guys, so where I think I'm going to get started is I'm going to try and drain all the fuel and oil out of this guy. And when I store the engine, I'm going to store it without any of that fuel and oil. So first thing I'll do is I'm going to turn it up on its side here and drain out this oil. Alright, so whatever oil is coming out, it's pretty black and sludgy. I'm going to take off the spark plug wire since I'm under here. I'm going to take this blade off. It looks like a good blade. I can salvage that. So I'm just going to take my 9/16. And look at that rust on that thing. Yeah, so I tipped the mower back over and realized I made a pretty big mess of oil here on the floor. Well, good thing for you guys, I do have a video on how to clean that up. You could just wipe it up with a rag if you got a nice shiny painted floor, but on my floor like this, it's not going to work so good. So if you want to see a video on how to clean up these oil spills, go ahead and click the link in the top corner. I'm going to clean this up and then I'll come back. Alright, so oil spill is all cleaned. Exxon would have been proud. So next thing I'm going to do is try and drain out all this gas. Our source engine. Gasoline in it. That's a little too good actually. Use it for clean fuel use. Alright, so gas is out. Some dripped out of the carb as well. Onto my floor. That's how you clean up a fuel spill. Alright. So, the engine, I'm ready to take the engine off here now. Before I do that, I'm going to disconnect this brake cable. And disconnect that guy right there. Alright, so to disconnect one of these cables, what you can see here is On this side of the post here, there are two like little tabs. You got to push those together and then slide this whole assembly through here, and then there's a slice or a cutout here in the top of this post that this wire will come through. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. Take my set of pliers. Sometimes you need needle nose pliers, but sometimes you gotta push that post up, and then this Z-bend comes out. And then up here on this end, you basically just slide that little T out. It slides right in here. So you slide that T out, and then usually you can just, no, I can't usually pull these out. You just get a flathead. And then for this guy, you just can usually kind of stick a flathead in here. It's harder to do one-handed, guys, because of the camera. Stick a flathead in there and just pry that out gently, because there's a plastic post right there that you don't want to snap off. And there's your cable. I always save these cables. They run about 20 bucks each, depending on the kind of cable. Now that specific cable really only works kind of with this handlebar setup, with this T at the top. So I'll end up saving this. There we go. All right. Save those. Alright, so now the engine is ready to come off. Just going to pull this cord. Just pull that cord through. I was saving these, but I have so many of them now I just don't save them anymore. I will end up saving these definitely, so they always snap off. So I got two good ones here, and I'm just going to take the engine off now. So let me show you how I take the engine off. It's pretty easy. It's only 3 bolts. Well, for the most part it's easy, as long as they're not rusted on. So let me show you that next. Alright, so hidden underneath all these gas cakes, there's 1, 2, 3 bolts, sometimes 1/2 inch. These ones happen to be 9/16. Now, a lot of times these rust, and I've snapped a lot of these in the past, and these ones look like they're gonna snap as well. I just hate snapping them off, because then it just makes for a heck of a lot of work, and or it's pretty much shot. I can use my impact, but that'll spin them right off. So I think what I'm going to do is try and soak them in some sort of lubrication. And see what I can do. I'm going to soak them from the top side and see if that'll help. I don't think it's going to help. Alright guys, let me give you a quick update on what I got going on here. As you can see, I got the mower off of the engine off of the deck. But as you can see, 2 of my 3 engine bolts have actually snapped off. And this is a common problem I come across with all these old, rusty mowers. And I spent countless hours trying to use easy outs and all that sort of stuff, trying to get these things out, and none of that seems to work. So what I'm going to try instead is I'm just going to try and drill these out, and then instead of actually using threaded bolts like this one, I'll actually, for these holes, I'll use a bolt and a lock washer and a washer and a nut on the other side. So first thing I'm going to try and do is use a punch to try and punch a hole in the center of the, as close to the center as I can. Alright, so we'll see how this goes. Alright, so I got that started. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably step it, because this is taking a long time to try and get through this. So I'll take a smaller drill bit. Alright guys, so let me give you an update on what I was able to do. I snapped off these two bolts when I was trying to take them out. Sometimes they're just rusted so tightly in there you can't get them out no matter what. So initially my plan was to drill out the remaining portion of the bolt and just make the hole slightly bigger and put a bolt and a nut and a bolt in its place. And for this one, the first one I did, I actually did just that. I got a nut and a bolt here. So I got a bolt and a lock washer, and then just a flat washer and a locking nut or whatever it is here, or a nylon nut. So that's what I'm going to use for that. The second one I was able to do a little bit better. The first one I kept burning out drill bits, and I broke a couple of drill bits. So what I ended up doing was just going a lot slower. In both cases I just kind of stepped it. So I started with this small guy and then worked my way up to that guy. But the second time around I was a lot more patient. I used a lot more oil and just went slow, blew out the shavings, and that seemed to work a lot better. The slower I went, the less time it took to actually get through the hole, and it was such a good job that I actually was able to then rethread that so that now I can use a normal engine mounting bolt. So that's where I'm at with it, guys. I spent quite a bit of time doing that, and that's why I hate, removing these and snapping them off. It just takes way too much time. But anyways, I got a good usable engine now, and we'll move on and finish up the last of the parts that I'm going to save off of this guy. What I usually do is I save these side discharge chutes or the mulch chute or plug. Once in a while I'll save these as well, these back plugs. And like I said, I'm gonna take these little handles off, and that is probably it for this mower. That's the end of this video, guys, for today, and that's how I parred out a old lawnmower that's not a survivor that I can't save. So hope you enjoyed the content, and if you did and you want to see more content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and click the bell next to it, so you'll be notified whenever I publish a new video. So thanks again, guys, and until next time, take care.